on Planetterrian Daily, episode 104. Today is June 28th, 2026. Let's see what the latest research is telling us. The week's biggest developments pulled together, what actually moved, why it matters, and what to watch next. A Nature Medicine study links accelerated biological aging markers to higher risk of cancers appearing at younger ages. The analysis draws on large cohort data that tracked epigenetic and cellular aging signals over time. Participants with faster epigenetic aging showed elevated incidence of early onset cancers across multiple tissue types. The associations remained after statistical adjustment for chronological age and standard lifestyle variables. These results add detail to how aging biology shapes the timing of cancer onset rather than incidence alone. From human aging biology, we turn to another modifiable factor that shapes disease risk through the microbiome. A meta-analysis in Cell Host and Microbe identifies a repeatable microbial signature across cohorts that tracks with elevated colon cancer risk. The pattern features lower abundance of fiber-fermenting species and higher levels of certain pro-inflammatory taxa. Higher fiber intake in the studied populations correlated with reduced presence of the risk-associated microbes. Data came from pooled metagenomic sequencing of multiple independent cohorts. The signature strengthens evidence that microbiome composition can serve as a trackable and potentially modifiable risk indicator. From microbial influences on cancer risk, we move to another environmental exposure that alters epigenetic aging. An NPJ aging study shows that hypoxia, including exposure at altitude, produces measurable increases in epigenetic age in both mouse tissues and human blood samples. The shifts tracked with duration and severity of oxygen reduction, rather than with chronological age. Researchers observed the changes in controlled mouse experiments and in blood from human volunteers at varying altitudes. Epigenetic age appeared to move back toward baseline after return to normal oxygen levels. The work raises questions about the dynamics of recovery once oxygen exposure normalizes. From human environmental exposures, we turn to plant-based nutrition options that could support health across climates. Rutgers University studies published in Hort Science combined morphology, growth performance, and nutrient analysis across multiple Amaranthus species. The crop displayed fast growth rates along with tolerance to a broad range of environmental conditions. Nutrient measurements showed elevated levels of key vitamins and minerals compared with many conventional leafy greens. 2 complementary trials supplied the horticultural and compositional data. Results support expanded production of amaranth as a nutrient-dense leafy green in diverse growing regions. From terrestrial crop nutrition, we move to another food source innovation tested for digestibility. Tests of brown seaweed flour in gluten-free cookies showed gains in nutritional content and improved digestibility. The addition increased fiber and micronutrient levels while preserving acceptable texture in the finished product. Researchers measured these outcomes through direct compositional analysis and in vitro digestion assays. The flour addressed common shortfalls seen in many gluten-free formulations. Work highlights a practical route to better nutrition for people following restricted diets. From nutrition delivery, we shift to a physics platform operating beyond Earth's gravity. NASA's upgraded Cold Atom Lab on the International Space Station now generates ultra-cold quantum states under continuous microgravity. The facility produces sustained quantum matter that exhibits behaviors not observable in ground-based drop towers. Engineers validated repeated runs of Bose-Einstein condensates and related states during orbital operations. The platform is positioned to test components for future space-based sensors and fundamental physics measurements. Next time, we will be watching for further integration of laser systems that expand the range of accessible quantum regimes. Brookhaven National Laboratory achieved an early milestone in radio frequency control systems for the electron-ion collider. The system will steer electron-ion collisions to probe how matter's building blocks stay together. Engineers completed the first real-world validation of the controls under operational conditions. The collider aims to deliver higher precision data than current facilities on quark-gluon structure. Analysis of a rare meteorite has identified chemical signatures consistent with a moon-sized body that formed near the young sun. The object appears to have been shattered in a collision, scattering fragments that eventually reached Earth. Its composition differs markedly from the building blocks of Earth and Mars, suggesting greater diversity in early planetary materials. The finding challenges assumptions about uniform starting conditions across the inner solar system. Additional meteorite studies are planned to map the extent of this lost world's influence. Biologist Irene Boomman at Radboud University tracked elephant movements during varying drought lengths. Short droughts kept animals near rivers with limited overall travel, while prolonged dry periods shifted groups closer to farms and villages. The pattern emerged from direct field observations of the animals' spatial behavior. The findings link climate persistence to human-wildlife spatial overlap. Future monitoring will examine whether these shifts increase conflict frequency. University of Malaga microbiologist identified an unrecognized process that lets B. cereus assemble protective biofilms. The work, published in Science Advances, shows how these structured communities shield the food poisoning bacterium from both drugs and environmental stress. The mechanism involves previously undocumented steps in community formation. The discovery highlights potential vulnerabilities in the biofilm assembly pathway. Researchers plan to test whether disrupting these steps restores antibiotic sensitivity. Two common pathogens coordinate copper availability in their shared environment to stabilize joint biofilms. The mechanism allows the microbes to maintain structural integrity under metal stress. Experiments tracked copper fluxes between the species and showed that disrupting this exchange weakens the biofilm. The work suggests new targets for breaking persistent mixed species communities on medical devices and tissues. University of Oxford geologists found chemical and structural evidence of extensive Earth-style magma chambers beneath the Martian surface. The systems formed without plate tectonics, challenging prior models of planetary differentiation. Data came from meteorite analysis and orbital observations of crustal composition. The results refine understanding of how Mars cooled and lost its early magnetic field. Nutrient reductions from improved wastewater treatment halted or reversed deoxygenation trends across monitored Chinese lakes and rivers. The effect persisted even as regional temperatures rose. The Nature Geoscience study combined long-term monitoring data with treatment records to document the recovery. A study from the Department of Psychology at Lingnan University examined how frontline staff navigate hierarchical workplaces. Employees who actively seek learning opportunities and demonstrate stronger emotional intelligence showed higher job engagement and output. The research focused on upward mobility challenges created by large organizational gaps. Results indicate that both proactive behavior and emotional skills together amplify performance more than either factor alone. The department plans further work on how these traits interact across different team structures. New measurements published in Geophysical Research Letters show that the mountain range does not fully block air pollution from South Asia. Researchers tracked pollutants reaching remote sites on the Tibetan Plateau. The findings indicate that prevailing winds carry fine particles and gases over the barrier during certain seasons. This challenges earlier assumptions about the Himalayas acting as a complete atmospheric divide. Continued monitoring will quantify seasonal transport rates and chemical transformation during transit. That's Planetterrian Daily for today. If you enjoyed this, a rating or review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify really helps new listeners find the show. I'm Patrick in Vancouver. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you tomorrow. And if you'd rather watch than listen, find us on YouTube at Nera Network. Links in the show notes. And before you go, this show is part of the Nera Network, a family of daily podcasts on tech, science, and markets, each one a short, sharp briefing you can finish on the commute. If today earned its place in your feed, here's your next listen. Unintended Consequences, True Stories of Good Intentions That Backfired. Find every show free at neranetwork.com. This episode used AI voice synthesis of my voice. Editorial selection and analysis are my own.